we thought that there was going to be a head coach by now.
Yep.
Which is probably partly the reason why we didn't do anything last week, because it's like, we thought we were going to have some type of update, something to talk about with the Panthers. In some weird ways, I'm split on how long this has taken.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, I feel like good for David Tepper, because I did feel like with hiring Matt Rule back in 2020, he made a lot of rash decisions. He didn't sit there and think about it. Now he's sitting back and thinking about it. He's really weighing his options, which good for you, because that shows you're learning. On the other hand, it makes me uncomfortable, because it's like you had a guy that was just on the staff as a defensive backs coach, who, yes, had a previous head coaching experience, which is why you bring him there, because Matt Rule didn't have any of that on the staff beforehand, and he had other guys with previous head coaching experience on the staff this past season. But Matt Rule is fired after 5 games, and this guy that was just a defensive backs coach steps in, makes some changes, and your team has a shot at making the playoffs. Yep. And they ended the season at 6-6. And we can make all the arguments in the world, and it's probably true, that if Steve Wilks was there from the beginning of the season, Panthers are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It would have been Cowboys at Panthers instead of Cowboys at Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like, is this a slap in the face to Steve Wilks? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, everyone's waiting for the big domino to fall of Sean Payton. So that's the thing, is that Tepper's waiting, because with the tragic death of the Charlotte FC soccer player, Tepper had to delay his interview with Payton.
Yeah.
So that's the domino everyone's waiting to fall. So here's the thing to keep in mind. No one has been hired yet to fill any coaching position. No one's been hired yet. And there's a ton of offensive coordinator positions out there as well. So I think that's Tepper is waiting, like, all right, let's talk to Payton, because I think obviously he wants Sean Payton. Because otherwise, if you didn't want him, we wouldn't be doing this. So I think everyone's waiting for that. I think, my opinion is Payton is waiting. He's going to try and use all these other teams to get a nice deal from Denver. That's my guess, because he's a big fan of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it concerns me a little bit, though, that, like you said, the guy's already right there, and he already proved it with 3 different starting quarterbacks. None of them were NFL starting caliber quarterbacks. Remember correctly, didn't Jacob Eason play some snaps this season?
He played some snaps.
At some point.
He played some snaps.
Think after Rule was fired. So what are we doing here? The fact that he was able to take a team that had 0 identity, flip that around, gave the team an identity with what he had to work with, and like you said, went 6-6 over that stretch with those starting quarterbacks and getting rid of your best player, and still was able to do that. What more can you ask of somebody? Isn't that the point? Here's the thing.
Right.
The NFL, like so many just sports leagues and associations, they want to copycat what everyone else has, right? Oh, look, they have the shiny thing. I want the shiny thing. They want this offensive guru-minded coach, right? Isn't that what everyone's trying to search for? Are there really that many out there? It's like, oh, that guy sniffs Sean McVay's trousers. Hire him. Like, that's where we are at this point. I mean, it's people who haven't even called plays anymore. Like, Mike McDaniel didn't call plays when he was with San Francisco, but he gets a head coaching job at Miami. So that's the thing, because he was part of Shanahan's system and all that, blah, blah, blah. Teams are so desperate to find this quote-unquote offensive person. Why don't you just find somebody who can actually lead and delegate things to your team? And like, what's Mike Tomlin? I mean, Mike Tomlin's probably known as a defensive guy, but you know what he does? He delegates and can lead men. It doesn't matter what position that they play. He knows how to lead a team. And that's what Steve Wilks can do. Isn't that the role of your head coach? Your head coach doesn't have to be an automatic offensive guy or automatic defensive guy. Give me someone who can lead a group. Who can lead a group of men and find an identity for the team, both personality-wise and just not in your style of play on the field too. He can do that. It's proven he can do that. And guys want to play for him. That stuff has to matter. But for some reason, we just want to chase the shiny thing.
John Harbaugh is a special teams guy. And he's a great head coach in Baltimore. and has won a Super Bowl and everything. And he has a really good team. If they didn't have their quarterback issues,
Yeah.
injuries
hurt.
and otherwise,
Yeah.
maybe they're still in the playoffs right now. No, you make a lot of great points, and let's go down the list. Here are the names of interviews that have already been conducted. Of course, Steve Wilks, Frank Reich, Jim Caldwell. These are the people that are reported that David Tepper are interested in. A few of these guys have already pulled out. Ken Dorsey, who's the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Ejiro Evero, I think I'm saying his name the wrong way. Defensive coordinator for the Broncos. Ben Johnson, he's already pulled out. He has some North Carolina ties. He's the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He feels like they're building something special in Detroit. He's staying in Detroit. Mike Kafka, offensive coordinator for the Giants. Gerard Mayo, linebackers coach for the New England Patriots. He's pulled out because he's staying in New England. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. D'Amico Ryans. He put a lot of different places on hold. I'm not sure if he's going to come back and do anything, but defensive coordinator for the 49ers. Shane Steichen, offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Sean Payton, former head coach of the New Orleans Saints. So a lot of those guys that were just named, the three that were already conducted, those are already in the can. There's a few of those I just named who they probably will be available coming up this week. Of course, Ken Dorsey will be available this week. The Buffalo Bills are out. We're waiting on the 49ers and the Eagles to finish their seasons. Kellen Moore should be available this week, that type of thing. Mike Kafka will be available this week. I think when it comes down to Sean Payton, I'm also wondering, too, because of his history with the Cowboys, if Jerry does decide to move on from Mike McCarthy, will he give Sean Payton that call? And he could give Sean Payton, between Denver and Carolina and also Dallas, those owners can give Sean Payton whatever he desires. But the actual more attractive job probably is the Cowboys, because the team is already together. What have we seen them struggle with? We've seen them struggle with end of game situations and quarterback situations. You think that Sean Payton could fix the quarterback situations, in offensive situations with Dak Prescott, and then probably has the team better coached in late game situations. But that team is already put together. And then the next best one is probably going to be the Denver Broncos. I'm just being real here. Panthers' job isn't as attractive as those jobs right now. It's in a division that's not very attractive right now. AFC West, you got Patrick Mahomes that's there, and people say, well, no, you don't want to go up against the competition. A lot of times you do want to go up against that competition, because that means you're going to be on national television. That means you're going to have a lot of those, primetime spots on TV. And if you're with the Panthers, what's going to be exciting? Is it going to be Panthers led by Sean Payton on a Thursday night against the Atlanta Falcons? Or is it going to be, Sean Payton leading the Denver Broncos against the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, everyone's got their different appeal, but I don't know. For me, the NFC South stinks as a whole. I don't know.
That's a big part of
it. I can get to the playoffs at 9-8. I don't know. To me, that sounds like an easier route. Once you get to the playoffs, who knows what's going to happen? So I don't know. There's a different appeals for different people.
How many of those teams make it to the playoffs? Like, we can sneak into the playoffs at 9-8. How many of those teams are still playing, 2 weeks into the playoffs? Versus, you have the Cowboys, where honestly they were in that game. If you make a few different decisions on offense and you handle the end of the game, the last 3 minutes, a little bit better, Cowboys probably have won that game.
Well, yeah, it's just further proof that Mike McCarthy is a stooge, and he stinks as a head coach. Something that we've already known.
Doesn't stink as a head coach, but there are some
head coach.
There are some holes there to his game.
Oh no, he was gifted Aaron Rodgers. That's fine. That's why he was successful for so many years. But that's fine. A lot of people can be successful with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. But nevertheless, when it comes down to Peyton, again, we're just waiting for that domino to fall, and I think everything else is going to trickle down because of that. I don't want Sean Payton to be the head coach of the Panthers.
I don't either.
I don't either. Because here's the thing. You know what the the New Orleans Saints are going to sit there and say? Ninth pick. You want Sean Payton? I want that ninth pick.
They could be okay with the
pick.
2024 pick. They
Yeah,
could be
either way,
okay with the 2024.
I'm not giving up my first round pick to a divisional team. I'm just not.
Right.
I'm just not doing it. I don't care if it's the 32nd.
Right.
Not giving it up.
I agree with
Not giving it up to a team within my division. Oh, hey, you guys are struggling right now. Here's this gift. So
Yeah.
we can have a head coach? Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, because you've already shown that you can win with the guys that you have now with Steve Wilks.
And here's another thing that I think goes along with that. Sean Payton already had all of those years in New Orleans. So his best days, let's just be real, as far as his best days are probably behind him. He probably has like a 5-year run left in him to get to a Super Bowl, and that's it. Cool. If he can get the Panthers to a Super Bowl, awesome. That's good. That's what everybody wants. Everybody will take those 5 years. But I also feel like I want a coach that's going to be around for the next 10 years. Who's going to be around for the next 10 years? I think Frank Reich is going to be around for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I think Steve Wilks is going to be around for the next 10 years. Or any of these younger coaches that you have on your list, like D'Amico Ryan, Shane Steichen, and that type of thing. But at this point, those are the unknown, the last two that I named.
Yeah.
We do know what Steve Wilks can do. We do know what Frank Reich can do. And let's be real, Frank Reich, to me, got hosed in Indy. He never had a consistent quarterback. We talk about the quarterback issues in Carolina. They had quarterback issues like crazy in Indy, and he still was able to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he was able to do something with his team. You're not expecting Andrew Luck to retire early.
No.
And then you bring Phillip Rivers out of retirement, old man, and you go 11-5 that year. And then you have a broken Carson Wentz do pretty well. Besides, like you
missed the playoffs.
Just missed the playoffs because you stunk against the Jags at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then this year with a bad start, you have Shaquille Leonard, who is injured, and you have other injuries and stuff on the offense. And who's the quarterback? Matt Ryan. So like there were reasons why Indy wasn't as good. It wasn't the head coach. So I wouldn't mind either one of them. And there's some people that's been throwing out, why not Steve Wilks as head coach and Frank Reich as the offensive coordinator?
I'm on that team. Or Jim Caldwell's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on that train. 100% on that.
Bring in Jim Caldwell as the quarterback's coach. You can still have Jim Caldwell because he's wanting a job. He just wants to get back in. He's been sitting in Winston-Salem for the last few years, chilling.
Yeah.
So
visit him on my pit stops.
Oh my God. Take him to a Winston-Salem Dash game.
Oh,
you guys can hang out as you're heading to Asheville or Boone, whatever it is. But yeah, to me that's what you do. But on the other end, what I mentioned first, I am proud of David Tepper for not making a quick, rash decision. But it does almost feel like with certain people pulling out, like Mayo pulled out, Ben Johnson pulled out. I'm guessing D'Amico Ryans is probably pulling out. With those pullouts there, it's almost leading. And then I think Sean Payton is probably going to get outbid because you're going to have to pay him $20 to $25 million a year. Did you not learn anything from Matt Rule? Did you not learn anything from that? Yeah. Don't pay your head coach $20 to $25 million a year. That's one thing. So with all of that, it feels like he's still just being led to Steve Wilks. And how does Steve Wilks feel with that? Because you're obviously the second choice or the third choice or the fourth choice.
Yeah.
How do you feel with that?
Hey, either way, you get a chance. I don't know. Go for it. I don't know. If it's the job you want, whether you're first, second, third, or fourth choice, it's still the job and you got it. So you know what? Roll with it.